Have you ever noticed that there are times you don't lose in a clear confrontation, but lose after you've said too much? After you've trusted the wrong person? After a moment when you believed opening up would bring comfort? And have you ever wondered why some wounds don't arrive immediately, but surface later precisely when you lose direction, lose emotional control, and can no longer understand why others always seem to be one step ahead of you? Many people live with this sensation without ever naming it. They believe they failed because they weren't good enough, tough enough, or lucky enough. But deep down, the truth is far more uncomfortable. They were not defeated by strength, but by being read. The most dangerous blows don't come from direct conflict. They come from what you accidentally reveal when you think you're merely sharing, explaining, or seeking understanding. In the world of power, the most dangerous person doesn't need to attack. They observe, remember, and wait for the exact moment you hand them the advantage yourself. It is here that the thinking of Niccolo Machiavelli becomes chillingly cold. He did not view human beings through morality or good intentions, but through how they operate when confronted with power, fear, and interest. In The Prince, Machiavelli writes, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." This sentence is not advice to live dishonestly. It is a warning. The distance between what you display and what you truly are is the final layer of armor protecting you from exploitation, and when that armor is stripped away too early, you don't collapse because of one great mistake, but because countless small fragments of information are turned against you. This video is about 7 such things, 7 secrets that, once revealed, don't just cost you leverage, they cost you control over your own rhythm in a game that very few people are willing to admit even exists. Ruthless truth. To understand why silence can become power, you must step outside the familiar moral illusion, the belief that truth will be protected and vulnerability will be understood. Niccolo Machiavelli did not write to make people loved. He wrote to help them survive and hold position in a world where power operates colder than any promise. In Machiavellian logic, truth is not a shield. What protects you is the degree to which you can be read. Anyone who allows others to predict their motives, reaction patterns, and tolerance limits has already placed themselves at a disadvantage, no matter how pure their original intentions may have been. Machiavelli once wrote in The Prince, "Men, in general, judge more by the eye than by the hand. Human beings judge by what they see, far more than by what they actually touch." This line does not encourage deception. It warns that perception shapes behavior, and the behavior of others shapes your fate. Speaking too much, explaining too much, revealing too much does not create safety. It creates data, and data, in the game of power, is always used to predict, to price, and to control rhythm. The 7 things that follow are not shameful secrets. They are 7 strategic variables. Once exposed, they immediately become leverage in someone else's hands. No malice required, only opportunity. Secret 1. Your next move. Whoever knows your next move has already beaten you halfway. Not because they are smarter, but because they are no longer surprised. And in power, surprise is pressure. When pressure disappears, advantage disappears with it. The moment you speak your plan aloud, it no longer belongs solely to you. It leaves your mind and enters someone else's, and inside another person's mind, it is never preserved intact. It is distorted by their fears, their envy, and the limits they have accepted for their own lives. A person who hears your plan is never just listening. They compare, they doubt, they evaluate, and very often, they unconsciously want you to slow down. Not because you are wrong, but because if you move too far, too fast, your very existence becomes a silent accusation against them. And so the questions begin. Advice for your own good starts appearing. Warnings about risk, timing, and how the real world works are repeated again and again. You think this is care. In reality, it is how others reach into your rhythm. In Machiavellian logic, power does not explain, it does not announce, it does not need to be understood in advance. Power appears when everything is already done, because from the moment an intention is seen, it becomes a target, and a target will always attract someone who wants to bring it down, even if only with words, with delay, or with a precisely placed seed of doubt. History has proven this in a crude and unmistakable way. In ancient wars, the armies that collapsed fastest were not the weakest, but those whose roots were exposed. Once news spread of the path they intended to take, the enemy did not need a great battle. They only needed to occupy the right bridge, the right mountain pass, the right narrow point. The war ended before it truly began, not because the enemy was stronger, but because the plan was revealed. Modern life operates by the same law, only more subtly. You say you are about to change direction, about to take a new path, and from that moment on, you are no longer as free as before. You begin to explain, you begin to justify, you begin to adjust your plan to make it appear more reasonable in the eyes of others. And every time you explain, you step one pace further away from action. Those who understand power do not do this. They do not speak about their next move, not because they are manipulative, but because they understand a cold truth. When others know what you are going to do, they have time to stop you. When they only see the result, they have only one option left: adapt. So remember this. A move is only safe once it has been placed on the board. Before that moment, silence is not weakness. Silence is discipline. And in a world where too many people speak before they act, the one who maintains this discipline is always the one who arrives where no one had time to block them. Secret 2. Your income. In the deep jungle, a well-fed tiger does not roar. It does not need to send signals. It does not need to prove anything. Noise only appears where there is lack. The hungry roar to intimidate. The weak make noise to be noticed. But the one who truly occupies a dominant position remains silent, because its mere presence is already pressure. In nature, what is strongest is always what signals the least. This rule is not moral. It is about survival. Money in human society operates by the same logic. The moment you reveal how much you earn, you are not just sharing a number. You are allowing others to price you. And once pricing begins, power leaves your hands. People stop seeing you as an independent individual and start seeing you as a resource, something that can be exploited, compared, used, or pulled down to restore balance. Exposed income always brings three things with it, whether you want it or not. First is envy. Not everyone envies openly. Most envy appears as silence, distance, or harmless jokes. But from that moment on, the gaze has changed. Second is expectation. People begin to think that you can afford it, which quietly becomes, you should help, should share, should carry the load. And third is imposed obligation. When you refuse, you are no longer someone exercising choice. You become the stingy one, the one who changed, the one who forgot where they came from. The problem is not whether you help or not. The problem is that you lose control over how you are treated. Once others know how much you make, they adjust their behavior toward you. Some move closer for benefit. Some keep distance out of insecurity. Some compete quietly. And some wait for the moment you weaken so they can feel better about themselves. None of them need to be malicious. They are simply reacting according to very human instincts. In Machiavellian logic, ambiguity always creates a higher position than exposure. When others do not know how much you have, they are forced to guess. And when they guess, they become cautious. They do not dare to impose. They do not dare to look down on you. They do not know how much they can safely demand. Ambiguity keeps you in a zone that cannot be precisely calculated, and that is exactly what creates leverage. Exposure does the opposite. Revealing income turns you into a target of comparison, a target of expectation, a target of endless questions. You are no longer evaluated by discipline, competence, or stability, but by a number, and there is always someone higher than that number. Always someone eager to prove that you do not deserve it. Observe those who hold real, lasting power. They do not talk about money. They do not flaunt income. They do not need anyone to know how much they have. Not because they are ashamed, but because they understand a cold rule: when others know what you have, they decide how to use you. When they do not know, they are forced to respect distance. Money does not buy respect. It buys attention, and most attention is toxic. True power is not being seen as rich, but being someone whose wealth level no one can be certain about. That uncertainty makes others cautious. And in power, caution is always better than admiration. So remember this cold proposition: money is a weapon, and no one displays a weapon before entering battle. The wise keep it concealed until it must be used. Those who speak too freely about it are usually those who do not yet understand that the moment they display it, they have already lost their advantage. Secret 3. Your long-term goals. Long-term vision is weakest while it is still forming. Not because it is wrong, but because it has not yet accumulated enough weight to defend itself. At this stage, a big idea is like a structure without steel framing a few gusts of public opinion, a few skeptical glances, a few seemingly harmless questions, and it begins to sway. And the most dangerous part is not opposition. It is when you start explaining. When you talk about the future too early, your brain receives a false reward: recognition, nods, and admiration release dopamine, as if something has already been completed, even though nothing has been built yet. This feeling of being seen weakens real drive. You begin to confuse being recognized as someone with vision with actually moving closer to that vision. While you speak, time passes. While you explain, energy disperses. Speaking about long-term goals also carries another cost. You invite judgment, not malicious judgment, but judgment filtered through the listener's limits. They place your future inside their understanding, their fears, the life they have already accepted. Phrases like, "Is that realistic? Why not slow down? I think you should," begin to appear. And no matter how strong you try to remain, these words leave traces. You start adjusting your vision to be more acceptable, safer, less disturbing. From that moment on, the vision is no longer yours. It becomes a product of compromise. In the logic of power, revealing the map before the structure is built does not help you move faster. It only helps others prepare obstacles. When others know where you are heading, they have time to place questions at the right moment, sow doubt in the right places, or simply stand on the path you must pass through. You are not stopped by a great wall, but by exhaustion from constant explanation. History shows this coldly. Many grand plots, many world-shifting plans did not fail because the ideas were weak, but because they were discussed before taking form. Once information leaked, opponents did not need to attack immediately. They only needed time to defend, time to reposition, time to turn a bold move into a prepared risk. When action finally came, surprise was gone, and with it, the greatest advantage. The same applies in personal life. When you declare who you will become in the future, you allow the world to get used to that version before it is strong enough. Familiarity kills impact. Others are no longer surprised, no longer cautious, no longer forced to adjust when you truly change. They have heard it already, and when results appear, they no longer create the pressure they should have. Those who understand power treat long-term goals as something sacred, not because they fear theft, but because they know vision needs silence to grow. Silence allows you to work without scrutiny. Silence allows you to change direction without asking permission. Silence allows you to arrive where no one had time to prepare to block you. So, engrave this cold principle. Do not say who you will become. Arrive there, and let the world recognize it on its own. When results appear without prior announcement, they need no explanation. They create a new order by themselves. And in power, the one who forces others to adapt is always the one above. Secret 4. Your weakness in nature. Prey rarely dies from being chased non-stop. It dies when it exposes rapid breathing, when its steps begin to falter, when its body sends signals that strength is running out. The predator does not rush. It does not need to strike early. It only observes, remembers, and waits for the precise moment of greatest weakness to finish the hunt. In nature, weakness itself does not kill you immediately. Exposing weakness does. Humans are no different. Weakness, once revealed, rarely creates lasting compassion. It creates an attack map. You may believe that sharing pain will make others understand you better, treat you more gently, or at least stop hurting you. But the world of power does not operate on compassion. It operates on information. And weakness is the most valuable form of information there is. What you say while you are weak does not disappear when the conversation ends. It is stored. It is remembered not as a confession to be protected, but as a coordinate. The listener now knows what you fear, where you hurt, when you are most likely to collapse. They do not need to use this information immediately. They only need to keep it. At the moment you most need to stand firm, the moment you set boundaries, the moment you become harder to control, what you once revealed in vulnerability will return as a reminder, a subtle jab, or a perfectly placed strike. The danger is this: most people who do this do not need to be villains. They are simply human. When conflict arises, when interests collide, when emotions are triggered, the information they hold is automatically used. You have lived this already. an argument where the other person does not challenge your reasoning, but goes straight for the wound you once disclosed. A relationship that ends with your past confessions being used to define you as always weak, always unstable, never changing. That moment hurts not because it is true, but because you handed over the weapon in Machiavellian logic. An unmastered weakness is a security breach. It is not something to share, it is something to process in silence. When you publicly expose a weakness, you do not give others a chance to help you, you give them a chance to position you. And once you are positioned as fragile, unstable, or problematic, you will have to work twice as hard just to be seen as normal. There is a common illusion that honesty will protect you. But in power, honesty is not valued as highly as stability. People trust those who appear steady, not those who recount how many times they broke. You may have overcome that pain. You may be far stronger now. But the image stored in other people's minds does not update with your progress. It freezes you at the weakest moment they ever witnessed. This becomes especially dangerous when you are rising, when your position starts to change, when you begin to set boundaries, when you are no longer as accommodating as before. Previously exposed weaknesses become counterattacks. Others do not need to prove you wrong. They only need to remind the room that you were once weak. And for many, that alone is enough to pull you back down to the same level. This does not mean you must become cold or isolated. It means you must be disciplined in choosing where you are weak. Some battles should never be fought in public. Some wounds should never be brought into the light while they are still bleeding. Weakness, if it is to become strength, must be forged in private spaces where no one is collecting data on you. Those who understand power do not deny their weaknesses. They hide them until they are no longer weaknesses. When they speak of them, if they ever do, it is as a past that has been processed, integrated, and stripped of leverage. Until that moment, silence is not avoidance, it is security. Remember this cold proposition, and do not confuse it with cruelty. What you have not yet mastered, never make public. The world does not reward those who reveal everything. It rewards those who know what to keep and when. And in a game where the predator waits for the quickened breath, the one who knows how to conceal their breathing is the one who leaves the hunt intact. Secret 5. Your relationship conflicts. In Anciencourt, there were generals who never lost a major battle, yet saw their authority collapse quickly, not because they lacked competence, but because their private lives became subjects of gossip. When rumors of household discord, private disputes, or jealous quarrels leaked out, the first thing to fall was not the relationship itself, but the weight of command. Soldiers still stood in formation, ranks still held, but the gaze had changed. Once the internal order is seen as unstable, power begins to leak. Public romantic drama operates by the same mechanism. It is not merely private matters exposed. It is a signal of lost control. When you speak about your conflicts, whether in pain or frustration, you transmit a message most listeners will never state outright. You are being governed by emotion. And in the world of power, being governed by love, jealousy, or hurt always reduces position. Many believe sharing relationship stories is a way to release, to be understood, to receive advice. But outsiders rarely repair anything. They wait for an ending, not because they are bad, but because they are spectators. Spectators do not enter the arena to play. They stand outside to watch who wins, who loses, who breaks first. The moment you turn relationship conflict into a story, you place your relationship on a stage, and once on stage, it is no longer treated as something sacred to be protected, but as a performance awaiting a conclusion. The danger is not that others know. The danger is that your image becomes framed. Those who repeatedly speak about romantic conflict are rarely seen as people resolving an issue, but as people consumed by it. Each retelling reinforces the image. Others begin to associate you with instability, with drama, with decisions driven by emotion. From that moment on, even when you speak about other domains, work, responsibility, vision, your words carry less weight. In Machiavellian logic, power requires the ability to maintain internal order. Those who cannot keep order within are not trusted to keep order without. That is why the generals who lose authority fastest are not the ones who lose battles, but the ones who reveal that the rear is on fire. Others do not need to attack directly. They only need to wait for disorder to seep into decisions, into reactions, into the way you appear. Exposed relationship conflict also creates a subtle form of leverage. The listener learns who you are attached to, what you fear losing, where you are emotionally unstable. That information does not need to be used immediately. It only needs to be stored. One day, in an argument, in competition, in evaluation, it will be hinted at, recalled, implied, and no matter how strong you are, being seen as someone always entangled in relationship drama is enough to cost you advantage. This does not mean you must suffer in silence or deny reality. It means you must choose the correct arena for resolution. Some matters can only be handled between the people involved. Some decisions must be made privately, where no one is collecting emotional data about you. And if support is necessary, it must come from someone with enough maturity, distance, and discipline to avoid turning your story into noise. Those who understand power keep their emotional lives outside the field of observation, not because they have no problems, but because they know every problem is weakest when exposed before it is resolved. When they appear before the world, they appear stable, not perfect, but controlled, and it is that control that creates respect. Revisit this cold proposition and understand it correctly. What is sacred must be protected in silence, not to conceal, but to preserve value. If your relationship truly matters, it does not need an audience. It needs discipline, boundaries, and clear decisions. The moment you stop turning conflict into a story, you reclaim what was lost, the weight of your presence. And in power, that weight determines whether others listen to you or dismiss you. Secret 6. Your family problems. A sword is forged in fire. It must endure heat. Endure the hammer. Endure repeated blows until it becomes hard enough not to break on impact. But no one carries the story of the forge onto the battlefield. On the battlefield, no one asks how much the sword has endured. They only look at its sharpness in the present. In power, the process matters less than the final image you present to the world. Family works the same way. Disorder inside the family, once exposed, does not stop at being understood. It quickly becomes a label attached to you. Society does not separate you from your origin, whether it is fair or not. People still use family as a signal to guess your stability, your ability to withstand pressure, and your capacity to lead. When you speak about chaos at home, you are not only telling a story from the past, You are allowing others to infer your present and your future. Many confuse openness with strength. They believe that speaking about family wounds will make others understand them more, sympathize more, treat them more gently. But in the world of power, pity is more dangerous than hatred. The one who hates you still sees you as an opponent. The one who pities you has already placed you beneath them. Once you are pitied, you are no longer seen as someone who can carry weight, but as someone who needs protection, and that is the death of position. When family problems leak, others do not only listen, they remember. They connect the fragments. One day, you mention instability at home. The next day, they read your hesitation at work as a consequence. One story about family conflict becomes a reason to doubt your ability to maintain internal order. No one says it out loud, but it lives inside the decisions they make when choosing who to entrust with responsibility, who to rely on, who to follow. In Machiavellian logic, power demands an image of stability, not because powerful people have no problems, but because they do not allow their problems to become data for others to use. Family is the deepest foundation of identity. When that foundation is seen as disordered, the entire structure above it is immediately questioned. You may be disciplined, competent, controlled in the present, but the image planted in other people's minds does not update with your progress. This becomes especially dangerous in competitive environments. When there are many options, people choose the one who looks more grounded, not the one with the most moving story. Family wounds, if revealed in the wrong place, will be used to explain every future mistake. You are late once. They think of the chaos at home. You hesitate on a decision. They think you lack stability. You fail a project. They say, that makes sense. Those who understand power do not deny where they come from. They process it in silence. They are not ashamed of what they have endured, but they also do not turn it into a story for consumption. Family, good or bad, is backstage, and backstage does not belong on stage. When you bring backstage under the spotlight, you do not become more authentic, you become easier to define. This does not mean you are not allowed to heal, to face it, to seek help. It means you must choose the right place to do it. Some wounds should only be handled where no one judges. No one remembers in order to reuse it later. Power does not come from having no scars, but from not allowing others to touch your scars. Engrave this cold proposition: scars are for survival, not for display. The world does not reward those who talk the most about what they have endured. It rewards those who appear with an image solid enough to require no explanation. When you keep your family and everything that belongs to family outside the field of observation, you keep something more important: the right to be judged by who you are now, not by fragments of past chaos. Secret 7. Your biggest regrets. In the history of power, countless figures were overthrown not because they were failing in the present, but because their past was dragged out at the exact right moment, not to repair anything, not to be fair, but to attach a label. Once a label is placed, every action that follows is read through that label. They are no longer seen as an individual evolving, but as an old error that was never erased. And from that moment, position begins to slide. Exposed regret is dangerous not because it is ugly. It is dangerous because it freezes your image. People do not see you through your entire journey. They see you through the weakest moment they have ever known about you, even if you have changed. become more disciplined, moved far beyond who you were. That memory remains inside them like a fixed marker. Each time you rise higher, it becomes the thing that pulls you down to put everything back in its place. Many believe confessing regret is a sign of maturity. They think naming a mistake will make others understand them more, respect their honesty more. But in the world of power, confession does not function that way. When you reveal your biggest regret, you are not only sharing a story, you are giving others the right to define you by that moment. And that right, once handed over, is difficult to take back. The most dangerous part of exposed regret is that it creates a form of moral leverage. Others do not need to argue with you. They do not need to prove you are wrong in the present. They only need to remind everyone that you were wrong before. And in many minds, that is enough to devalue everything you say afterward. You think you're different now. A single line like that can drag you back into the old version of yourself in their eyes. The history of power is filled with this pattern. When someone becomes too strong, too independent, too difficult to control, they are not attacked with new arguments. Their past is excavated. An old mistake, a weak decision, a moment of collapse is placed back on the table, not to understand, but to break position. And this strike works precisely because humans tend to believe a person's true nature is revealed in the moment they were weakest. In personal life, the mechanism is the same. When you tell someone your biggest regret, they may listen, nod, even sympathize. But the information does not disappear. It is stored. And when you set boundaries, when you are no longer easy to manipulate, when you step into a different tier, that regret returns through doubt, sarcasm, or subtle comparison, not because they are evil, because you gave them an anchor to hold you down. There is a cold truth. Few, except other people, are always more fascinated by your past than your future. The future demands they believe humans can change. The past is easier. It already happened. It is fixed. It gives them the feeling of control, and regret is the most exploitable part of the past, because it comes with self-blame, the very emotion that makes you doubt yourself. This does not mean you must deny the past or live in deception. It means you must choose the right place to set the past down. Regret is not something to tell, it is something to forge. When you turn regret into a story, you give others the right to consume it. When you turn regret into discipline, it becomes an internal asset, untouchable. Those who understand power do not speak much about what they did wrong. They let the difference in their present behavior speak. They do not try to convince anyone they have changed. They appear as someone who is no longer capable of repeating the old mistake. And then the past gradually loses its weight, not because it is forgiven, but because it no longer fits as an explanation for the person standing here now. Remember this cold proposition. Not as moral advice, but as a law of survival, regret must be transformed into discipline, not into confession. Confession releases emotion for a moment, but leaves long-term leverage in someone else's hands. Discipline does the opposite. It quietly restructures you from within, until the past no longer has enough weight to pull you down. In a world where people prefer labeling over tracking evolution, the one who keeps their regret in silence keeps what is most valuable, the right to be defined by the present and the future, not by the weakest moment someone once saw. Conclusion: you do not become dangerous because you are ruthless, cold, or obsessed with controlling others. You become dangerous because you are hard to read. When these 7 variables remain concealed, your next move, your money, your vision, your weakness, your conflicts, your origin, and your regret you do not need to explain, defend, or warn anyone. You do not demand the world respect you. The world adjusts its behavior around you in Machiavellian logic. Power does not need display. It does not argue to win. It does not announce itself to be recognized. It simply exists in a way that forces others to recalculate every step they take. What cannot be predicted is always treated as risk, and risk, even when people refuse to admit it, is always respected more than what is easy to read. When others do not know what you think, what you want, or what you will do next, they are forced to slow down. They are forced to be cautious, and in that moment, you reclaim control of the rhythm. Silence here is not avoidance. It is discipline. It is the ability to hold what is still fragile until it becomes strong enough to stand on its own. It is the capacity to deny data to those who have never proven they deserve it. And it is self-command, the clarity to understand that not every truth must be spoken, not every emotion must be shared, not every story needs an audience. If what you just heard makes you realize you have spoken too much, explained too early, handed the wrong information to the wrong people, this video is not here to shame you. It is here to awaken a new discipline. From here on, you do not speak less to be loved. You speak less to keep position. You do not need to become invisible. You only need to become impossible to read. If this hit you, press like as a way to confirm you choose control over unconscious exposure. Share this video with a friend you know is paying the price for saying too much. And subscribe to the channel if you're ready to go deeper into the tier of thinking where silence is no longer defense, but power.